Hello, Christmas lovers. Christmas may still be 4 months away, but the magic is already in the air. While many of us are starting with decorations, I'm diving straight into one of my favorite traditions, building my Christmas village 2025. In the first two episodes, we built the mountain, shaped the rocks, and carved the tunnels. Now it's time for painting. We'll start at the mountaintop, the coldest, wildest part of the mountain, where snow will crown the mountain in our project. The first step is to cover the entire mountaintop with a base coat of gray paint. For this, we'll use acrylic paint slightly diluted with water. Don't add too much water, just enough to make the paint flow smoothly without losing its color. This gray base will give us a natural stone look and prepare the mountain for the next layers of color and detail. Once the gray layer has dried, let your imagination take over and start shaping the mountain's rocky character. Don't stress about perfection here. This stage is just about giving form, since later the entire peak will be blanketed in white to capture the look of fresh snow. For the earth tones, I like to begin with a rich base of burnt umber, which adds warmth and depth beneath the snowy surface. Once the base coat has dried, it's time to add depth and character to the rocky areas with layers of color. I like to create variation by dabbing on three main shades: yellow oxide, natural umber, and brown, applied in random patches to mimic the irregular tones of real stone. For extra richness, I sometimes introduce hints of raw sienna, carmine red, or middle stone, though these accents are better suited for other areas like rivers, lakes, or forest sections. Keep your brush almost dry so the paint goes on softly, allowing the colors to blend without becoming too strong. Most importantly, remember this is a Christmas village, not a rigid scale model, so let it feel festive, playful, and alive. Don't be afraid to experiment with color and let your imagination shape the scene as you go. After the colors have had time to fully dry, we move on to a dry brush technique using a light gray. Mix a touch of white into your base gray, then load just a little onto your brush, making sure it's almost dry and free of excess paint. With a gentle touch, sweep the brush lightly across the mountain's surface, letting the color catch only on the raised textures. This will create subtle highlights and random shadows, adding depth without covering the layers of color you worked on earlier. Remember, the goal here isn't to paint over the rocks, but to softly enhance their details while keeping the richness of the underlying shades visible. We are now just 2 steps away from the finish, and it's time for the black wash. This technique helps create depth and shading, bringing out all the fine details of the mountain surface. To make the wash, dilute black paint with water or a glazing medium until it reaches a thin, watery consistency. The goal is for the mixture to flow easily into the crevices without covering everything too heavily. Apply it across the mountain tops, letting it naturally settle into the textures. The final step is to apply white paint to simulate snow. Later on, we'll add artificial snow for a more realistic finish, but this layer will give the mountain an extra touch of wildness and character. Using the dry brush technique, sweep a nearly paint-free brush gently across the raised surfaces, allowing the white to catch on the textures and create the effect of fresh snow resting on the peaks. Depends on you how much strong you want the white color on the top mountain area. That's it for today, my friends. In the next episode, we'll dive into painting the whole mountain together. Thanks so much for watching, and until then, stay cozy, enjoy the festive season, and see you soon.